welcome back to All About That Disney Life. I am Danny B, the girl who is all about that Disney life. We now move on to Monsters University, which came out in 2013, so let's get to know this cast. Billy Crystal was Mike Wazowski. Noah Johnston was young Mike. John Goodman was Sully. Steve Buscemi was Randall Boggs. Peter Shawn was Scott Squishy Squibbles. Joel Murray was Don Carlton. Sean P. Hayes and Dave Foley were Terry and Terry Perry. Charlie Day was Art. Helen Mirren was Dean Abigail Hardscrabble. Alfred Molina was Professor Derek Knight. Tyler Labine was Brock Pearson. Nathan Fillion was Johnny J. Worthington III. Aubrey Plaza was Claire Wheeler. Bobby Moynihan was Chet Alexander. Julia Sweeney was Sherry Squibbles. Bonnie Hunt was Mrs. Karen Graves. John Krasinski was Frightening Frank McKay. Bill Hader was the referee and the slug. Bob Peterson was Roz. John Ratzenberger was the Yeti. John Cyan was Big Red. Jess Harnell was a fraternity brother. Lori Allen was the bus driver. Mona Marshall was Emmett. Dan Scallion was the improv club monster. Marsha Wallace was the librarian. Donovan Patton was the Monsters, Inc. cop number 1. Greg Berger was the Monsters, Inc. cop number 2. Roger Pumbas was Jerry Jablonski. And Colleen O'Shaughnessy was Faye Way. Now I move on to the facts all about Monsters University. Number 1, the development. There was plans for a second Monsters, Inc. movie that has existed since 2002. Following a disagreement between CEO Michael Eisner and Pixar CEO Steve Jobs, Disney, which owned the rights to make sequels to all of Pixar's films up to and including Cars, announced that a sequel to Monsters, Inc. would be made by Disney's Circle 7 Animation Studio, which was also working on early drafts of Toy Story 3 and Finding Nemo 2. It was originally going to be titled Monsters, Inc. 2 Lost in Scaradise. The movie would have focused on Mike and Sully visiting the human world to give Boo a birthday present only to find that she had moved. After getting trapped in the human world, Mike and Sully would split up after disagreeing on what to do. Screenwriters Rob Muir and Bob Hilgenberg were hired to write a script for the movie and storyboarded an early draft of it. Disney's change of management in late 2005, in which Eisner was replaced by Bob Iger, led to renewed negotiations with Pixar, and in January of 2006, Disney announced it had purchased the studio. The Disney-owned sequel rights were then transferred to Pixar, leading to the cancellation of Muir and Hilgenberg's version of the movie and the subsequent closure of Circle 7. A Pixar-made sequel was confirmed in 2010. The movie was originally planned for a release on November 16, 2012, but the release was moved up to November 2nd, 2012 to avoid competition with the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. On March 29, 2011, it was confirmed that the movie would be a prequel and the title Monsters University was announced. On April 4th, 2011, due to Pixar's past success with summer releases, according to a Disney executive, it was confirmed that the movie would be released on June 21st, 2013. Number 2, the story. The plot of Monsters University details Mike and Sully's first meeting, contradicting a scene from the original movie in which Mike tells Sully, "You've been jealous of my good looks since the 4th grade." Dan Scallion, the director of this movie, said he had a dilemma with this line during pre-production, but he believed it was best if Mike and Sully met in college because they wanted to see the relationship developed when they were adults. And they also felt that college is a lot about people finding their true self and self-discovery and figuring out who you really are. He added that it felt like the perfect place to do this, but they had that one line. So they tried versions where they met young and then they skipped ahead to college, and they knew they didn't want to make Monsters Elementary. Scallion said during pre-production that Pete Docter, the original director of Monsters, Inc., and John Lasseter finally said to him that it's great that he was honoring what the movie was and that particular line, but he had to do what's right for the story. So they made a tough decision to just have them be in college and put that line aside. Scanlon joked that the line from the first movie was an old monster expression saying, "That's what monsters always say to each other." And being a true fan of the Monsters, Inc. franchise, people would be saying, there is that one line, apparently they've known each other since the 4th grade or elementary school, but they meet in college. How does that flow? But like it said, they let that one line slide. And if people want to be nitpicky about that one little line, let them be nitpicky. Otherwise, don't watch the movie. Number 3, going back to school. For research, the filmmakers visited several colleges in the United States, including Harvard, Stanford, Cornell, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, observing college architecture, student life, Greek organizations, and the teaching methods of professors and faculty. To research fraternity life, many of the film's producers spent several weeks at a fraternity house. Are we sure they were working? Researchers also attended a bonfire rally at Berkeley in anticipation of the big game, a rivalry football game between Berkeley and Stanford. Again, are we sure they were working? Number 4, the release. The movie had its worldwide premiere on June 5th, 2013 as a special screening at BFI South Bank in London with the director and producer in attendance. The movie had its Asian premiere as the opening film of the 2013 Shanghai International Film Festival on June 15th, 2013. It premiered in the United States on June 8th, 2013 at the Seattle International Film Festival and was released in theaters on June 21st, 2013. The movie's theatrical release was accompanied by Pixar's short film, The Blue Umbrella. Number 5, the box office. This movie made $268.5 million in the United States and Canada and $475.1 million in other countries for a worldwide total of $743.6 million. It became the 53rd highest grossing film of all time, the 11th highest grossing animated film of all time, the 7th highest grossing 2013 film, and the 3rd highest grossing Pixar film. Number 6, awards and nominations. At the American Cinema Editors, this movie was nominated for Best Edited Animated Feature Film, but it lost to Frozen. At the Annie Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature, but it lost to Frozen. It was nominated for Animated Effects in an Animated Production, but it lost to The Croods. It was nominated for Character Animation in an Animated Feature Production, but it lost to The Croods. It was nominated for Character Design in an Animated Feature Production, but it lost to The Croods. It was nominated for Music in an Animated Feature Production, but it lost to Frozen. It was nominated for Production Design in an Animated Feature Production, but it lost to Frozen. Billy Crystal was nominated for Voice Acting in an Animated Feature Production, but he lost to Josh Gad for Frozen. It was nominated for Writing in an Animated Feature Production, but it lost to The Wind Rises. It won for Storyboarding in an Animated Feature Production, and it won for Editorial in an Animated Feature Production. At the British Academy Film Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Film, but it lost to Frozen. At the Cinema Audio Society Awards, this movie was nominated for Outstanding Achievement in Sound Mixing for Motion Pictures for Animated, but lost to Frozen. At the Critics' Choice Movie Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature, but lost to Frozen. At the Denver Film Critics Society, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film, but lost to Frozen. At the Hollywood Film Awards, this movie won the Hollywood Animation Award. At the International Cinephile Society, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Film, but it lost to Ernest and Celestine. At the Kids' Choice Awards, this movie was nominated for Favorite Animated Movie, but it lost to Frozen. And Billy Crystal was nominated for Favorite Voice from an Animated Movie, but he lost to Miranda Cosgrove for Despicable Me 2. At the Producers Guild of America Awards, this movie was nominated for Outstanding Producer of Animated Theatrical Motion Pictures, but it lost to Frozen. At the San Francisco Film Critics Circle, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature, but it lost to Frozen. At the Satellite Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Motion Picture, Animated, or Mixed Media, but it lost to The Wind Rises. At the Saturn Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Film, but it lost to Frozen. At the Visual Effects Society Awards, this movie was nominated for Outstanding Animation in an Animated Feature Motion Picture, but it lost to Frozen. It was nominated for Outstanding Created Environment in an Animated Feature Motion Picture, but it lost to Frozen. And at the Washington, D.C. Area Film Critics Association, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature, and it lost to, any guesses? Frozen. Number 7, the good points and the bad points. Once again, this is based on the internet's perspective of whether this was a good sequel or a bad sequel. So for the good points, fans are saying that this movie has the best end segments in the history of Pixar. This movie was nostalgic for old and younger audiences. It was a pleasant story of friendship. The comedy has a strong level, and it has an incredible mix of themes and emotions. Now for the bad points. Fans are saying that this movie is not in the same league as the first movie. This one was a major disappointment. This movie also shows little effort. A lot of fans were criticizing that it was missing Boo, the character, and a lot of fans were saying that this was a horrible plot. And there you have it, all the facts to Monsters University. If you like this video, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you have a zippity-doo-dah day. Goodbye.